am so excited to welcome today an amazing woman. Lucille Fisher is a mom, a grandmom, an incredibly successful businesswoman with her own business, and she is an incredibly active volunteer. She shows up for everyone. What we're going to do today is something that takes real courage, and I admire that, Lucille. We're going to talk about what it's like to go to therapy, what it's like to make the decision to go to therapy, what it's like to be in therapy, and what you can get out of the therapeutic process. This is something most people don't talk about, but Lucille has the courage to show up, share her story in the hopes that it will help someone else. So, Lucille, welcome.
Thank you, Wendy. I want to acknowledge the work that you've done in writing your book.
Thank you.
Calm and Sense. And really very important. I wish that the book was available to me, when I was a teenager and a young adult. So I just want to say that. And all the work, your podcast, this podcast, and everything that you've been doing.
Thank you.
So anyway, I was 23 when my father died. He got sick. I was a senior in college.
Yes.
And he lived for about 2.5 years. And it was very harrowing, very stressful. Yes. But above and beyond that, I had always had anxiety. I mean, anxiety ran in my family. My mother was tremendously anxious. It went way back. Right. But at this point in my life, so now I'm in graduate school. Yeah. And I'm trying to manage the anxiety by myself. Yeah. Just trying to manage it by myself. And that wasn't going so well.
Yes.
So I decided I needed to seek out therapy. Now, what I did is I went to the university,
right,
where I was, graduate school. And I started at that point with a psychologist there at the university.
Okay.
So, and that was helpful.
Right.
And it was a good decision. And then I had down the road a little bit, I sought out a regular professional, and we worked together for many, many years, actually, to work through, the anxiety and coping mechanisms and all of that.
I've always wondered, is it different to going to a different therapist? Do you feel like there's a different approach? Did you feel different?
Oh, certainly. There's definitely. I mean, over my lifetime, I personally feel that everyone should go to therapy.
I agree.
Honestly, we all have our issues.
Yes.
We all have our challenges. And therapy really provides great insights. The therapist, so you can talk to friends and you can talk to family.
Right.
But they have an investment.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They have an investment in what you're saying, whatever, where a therapist is objective.
Right.
And that is the biggest value I found, is the objectivity of the therapist and being able to say to me, oh, that thinking is way off. Right. You know what I mean? I mean, that, no. And kind of pull me back to center.
Right. And so that was very valuable to have someone sort of center you, maybe listen to you without offering suggestions of how to make it better.
Yeah. Or somebody who just didn't have skin in the game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like I said, you talk to a family member, and there's all these other emotions they have going on, but here's somebody who's objective and can do it. I think it's important that you have some sort of a flow with a therapist. I mean, you can have somebody who, you just don't feel comfortable with.
Yes.
That you don't have, there's no ease.
Right.
There's no ease. And really, I would recommend if someone came up against that, they would maybe seek out another therapist.
I cannot say that strongly enough. Yeah. I've had clients come in and say, well, I was going to a therapist, but she didn't listen to me.
Right.
They were doing something else while they were eating their lunch while I was talking. You need a therapist that where you feel at home and at ease, who listens
Yep.
and respects you
Right.
and respects who
Right.
you
And
are.
a therapist that is fully present for you.
Exactly. Yes.
Fully present. And that's the whole deal, right?
That is the whole.
That's why
that
you're going.
is the whole deal.
That's the whole
To
deal.
be heard.
To be heard.
Critical.
Critical. Yeah.
So the process helped you feel calmer? Did it help?
Oh,
anxiety?
definitely. Well, I think, when you're examining, the thing that you are signing up for is really looking into some of the dark spaces,
Yes.
which is not easy,
Right.
but it's so rewarding.
Talk more about that. That's important.
I mean, it is tough to look at. So it's the roots of what's causing the anxiety.
Right.
I believe a part of it was just my makeup being very sensitive. And my mother probably was a very sensitive woman. But anyway, but then there's all this behavior that, it could have been family dynamics, so whatever it was, family. And there was tons of love in my family, but it's just, there was a lot of dysfunction and dysregulation.
Okay.
That was the biggest thing, I think, dysregulation. And, as a kid, you don't realize what's going on. You think it's all normal.
Right. Or you think it's you. Yes.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah. So many people come to therapy and say, well, there's something wrong with me.
Right.
And no, there was something wrong in the whole family.
That's right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. You don't treat one person, you treat the family.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's huge. I mean, because I certainly thought it was me. I thought I was weak. But what I discovered was that I was really brave and courageous.
Yes.
And what I ended up doing is kind of carrying the family, because I was bright. And there was a lot of issues with my older siblings. I was the fourth of five. So I ended up like being the one that was the perfect child, because I had to be.
Right.
I had to be, because there's so much confusion, chaos going on, and not by anyone's fault, really.
Right.
Not by anyone's fault.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's not about blame.
But you can't see any of that. You know what I mean? So you go to a therapist and you get to kind of really examine some of the root causes of anxiety or limiting beliefs about yourself or about, the other people in your life or whatever. And you get to change those beliefs. You get to alter them so that you are in a much healthier space.
Right.
Healthier space. And you've got greater clarity. Like my parents loved me.
Yes.
They didn't want to do damage or, whatever. They just weren't capable. They had their own dysregulation.
Yeah.
They had their own dysregulation and their own issues. And they did the best they could.
Yes.
Okay. So, and you get to realize that too. You see it all. And that is such a blessing and a gift.
But it's life-changing.
It's life-changing.
So many people come through the door. And I always say, people wait to go to therapy until their hair is on fire. People don't come in because there's, a little bump in the marriage. Yeah. People wait until...
Oh, it's awful.
They've moved out.
Yes.
Right. And if people could come in earlier...
Oh, and believe me, I toughed it out. For years, that anxiety. I toughed it out for years, and it was not fun. It was not pleasant. But again, I thought I was weak.
You were blaming yourself.
I thought there was something wrong with me.
And think of the pain that you carried. And if we're talking to somebody, who's listening, if you're carrying that pain and you're suffering and you're thinking it's you, going to talk to somebody can help you see that maybe it's not you.
Right.
Maybe it's just the world around you.
Right.
And maybe it was a trauma from your childhood.
Yes.
That you didn't. I'll tell you, I was in my 30s before I realized I had anxiety. I walked around thinking there was something wrong with me. Yeah. It was stunning. to realize, no, you have anxiety.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with you. It's just you have anxiety. Same with you.
And that's why the work that you're doing is so important, because to talk about it. And that's why I'm happy to do this with you,
Right.
because talking about it is important, because other people have to know that it is okay. It's great to go. Therapy is a brave thing to do.
Yes.
Therapy is courage.
Yes.
And you learn a lot about yourself. And that's the whole, I don't know, that's my goal, is to keep learning, keep growing, keep expanding.
Yes.
Freeing myself, and that's been my goal my whole life, is to just that expansion. So I am grateful for every minute I've spent in therapy, and I highly recommend it.
And what I loved, and I heard you say, was that you were able then to have the strength to reach out and help others.
Oh, yeah. And I was a mess, by the way. You're talking about the hair on fire. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, my father, I am pretty much, moderated that whole situation. I was only 23 years old,
Wow,
at 20, in my early 20s. But oh, yeah, I was a wreck. And I was in graduate school, so I had to take a whole trimester off because
Wow.
I was a mess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you weren't functioning.
I was not.
Yeah.
I was not.
Yeah. And I always say, I plead with people, go before your hair is on fire. But if your hair is on fire, please
Definitely go.
Don't let the fear of the process.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk a little bit about the process, what it's like to walk into the office? Because I think people think there's something.
It's not a horrible process, because usually in therapists, and as it turns out, my son is a psychologist and counsels. People go into this line of work because they're sensitive and caring and want to help people.
Yes.
And so, I mean, that's the kind of therapist you want to find anyway.
Right.
And so you go in and, like I said, it's a journey.
Yes.
It's a journey. It's a kind of getting to know your therapist. Of course, the beginning is, they need to just know all the details, not all the details, but even, just the basic information.
You tell the story.
Yeah,
why you're there.
Yeah.
And what brought you in.
And then the great thing is the therapist is able, because of their training, ask insightful questions.
Well, one hopes.
Yes. That's when you know you've got a good therapist.
Right.
When they shed light on things that you didn't see or understand.
Right.
And that's the beauty there, because, you're telling your story, and then the reflection of the therapist is so valuable, because it brings clarity. And it brings insights that you could not have come to by your own, because everything is colored by your experience.
And by your point of view.
Which is limited because it's your point of view.
And so often clients will have a point of view that's very narrow. And when a therapist can help you retell the story, reframe it, look at it from a different point of view. People will come in and say, middle school was horrible. No one liked me. I went home and I just patted my dog. But you got through it, and you went home and you practiced pet therapy. Patting the dog is a great way to help you ease your fears. So, yay.
Right.
Yeah. Tell the story from the point of view of the hero. And I think, or shero.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you've been doing.
Yeah. I think that, I've come to realize that. Yeah. I have come to realize that it took a lot of courage and, the desire to be better, to be not even better. Maybe that's not the right word, to be well.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to have all the limitations. My mother had limitations, and my anxiety limited me to a certain degree. So then it informs how you make choices.
Every choice.
Oh,
yeah.
And so I really wanted to free myself as much as I could from those limitations, and anything I could do. And I was willing to work hard at it, because
and you had the courage to acknowledge that you could go beyond your limitations.
And it's okay to be, like I said, we talked, I think a little bit or hit upon it. It's okay to be anxious or fearful in the beginning because you don't know. But my experience has been absolutely positive, and I recommend that everybody goes to therapy. It is a valuable tool.
I think people are afraid of it because they think there's some magic or that the therapist knows something special.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that people are afraid to find, because again, you have that belief, that self-belief that there's something wrong with you.
That's right.
So then you're afraid the therapist is going to say, oh my God, you're really messed up. Do you know what I mean? You are messed up. And that's the fear, and it's quite the opposite. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's really critical for people to hear, that a therapist isn't there to judge. A therapist is there to just, I think, love and support.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
Validation, love, support.
Talk about validation, because I think,
like, again, you think you are the problem or that you're weak. I thought I was weak.
Yes.
I've heard a lot in my family, the words, you are too much.
Oh, wow.
I was too much emotion. I was too much feeling because, So I would hear that all the time. Lucille, you are just too much.
Oh my God.
I see memes now on social media where, celebrate if people telling you you're too much, well, celebrate that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Celebrate that. And so, I heard that. So then those things you hear, or that people reacted to, and they reacted out of fear. Because particularly my mom, because she had anxiety, and it was like, oh my God, Lucille's feeling anxious. Oh my God. And so her panic when I was anxious then exacerbated it.
Yes.
So you get to these beliefs about yourself.
Yeah.
And these are the things that therapists can help you break down and unpack.
Yes. It really does change how you look at yourself.
It does.
And if I said you were too much today, it would just be you were just too much wonderfulness.
That's right.
Is that how you feel?
Yes, that is exactly. Right. You know what I mean? And sensitivity. And with people who were dysregulated in their own emotions, you have this child, saying, demanding more connection, more responsiveness, or even looking at themselves maybe a little bit more, and they just weren't able to do it. They had enough to deal with. So what came out? You are too much.
And what that says to a child.
Painful.
And what happens, you believe it as a child, you carry that into adulthood.
Oh my gosh. That is that's the crazy thing.
Yes.
That that belief lives inside. It lives inside you, and it lives inside your body. And I love that you have addressed this. The body remembers,
it
right?
Does.
So the body holds all those anxieties, fears, and until you address the body's response to all of these stressors, you don't fully heal. Exactly. You take it totally into your body. And then when you can release it, it's huge. It's like you said, it's life changing. I don't think I could have done the things I've done. I brought up 2 great kids.
Yes, you did.
Very successful. I've got a successful business.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate. I worked really hard at it. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
No, it's not easy. Great husband, great family life. And I believe a lot of that is because I took the time to really look at myself and what I could change, and working with a therapist, working with therapists.
Yes.
Because at different times in my life, and, I'm in my mid-60s now.
Yeah.
I will go. And, if I feel I need a restart or something,
I think
I'm a big fan.
And I think that if someone had diabetes, they would
Right.
go get help. If someone broke their leg, they would go get help.
Right.
That for some reason, if you're struggling with, anxiety, any kind of a mental challenge, we all raise an eyebrow. Well, couldn't handle it herself. The truth is, not handling yourself is the most painful, difficult thing you can do on the planet. When you ask for help.
Or handling it yourself,
That's
right?
right.
Handling it, you're trying to handle it yourself
Yes.
is the most painful. It's
Thank you.
lonely.
Yes.
And it's painful. And we don't have to do it that way. That's the best part of it.
Right.
We don't have to do it that way because there are all these wonderful people, you, my son, and so many other people in the field who want to help and want to give voice to the pain to help you heal.
I love that, voice to the pain, because that's truly
that is it in a nutshell, right?
Yeah. Was there any negative? Let's just go.
Oh boy.
Anything that came out of therapy that you felt was negative? Was the work hard?
Oh yes, it was hard. I can't think of anything negative. The work is hard.
Yeah.
Because you can actually feel you're opening up like Pandora's box, right? So a painful chapter in your life, or painful things that you have really shoved down.
Yeah.
So when you start to open that, it actually feels, you know what I love? I got to tell you. So, I saw on Instagram. So let me explain this. I think it was Instagram. Social media is my work. You know what I mean? So I'm on there.
Yes.
And anyway, a flower, when it grows, when it blooms, it starts to bloom a little bit and then it contracts.
Really?
And then it blooms more and then it contracts.
Oh my goodness.
And then it blooms to its fullest. So that's how I would explain therapy.
Wow.
So you go in, you learning new things about yourself, and then it hurts.
Yes.
And then, or it hurts that you're learning things about the people around you, the people you grew up with, or what your experience was when you thought it was normal and it really wasn't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So then you have a little bit of a contraction and it's going to hurt.
Yes.
But then when you heal that, you heal it, then you can expand more.
Wow, that is beautiful.
And I think that is that's the reality of it. I mean, you have to be willing to go through some pain to get to the other side.
Right. Oh, I love that image because therapy it can be a difficult process. You have to have deep trust in your therapist.
Yes.
And you have to find a trust in yourself.
Yes.
That you have the strength to get through it.
That's huge, Wendy. That is huge.
Yeah.
And that's what you build with therapy.
Yes.
You build that trust in yourself, your trust in your body.
Yes.
Particularly if you're anxious.
Yes.
Because I used to think my body was my enemy.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So now I love my body because it was protecting me.
That is really important.
So it's a huge shift.
Yes. Yeah. And we know about the vagus nerve. We know about calming the vagus nerve. Really important stuff. And quickly, what do you do to calm yourself?
Oh my. Meditation was huge. Yes. So therapy, meditation. I started meditating maybe 20 years ago after my mother died, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
So meditation, gardening. I love my garden. I love flowers. I love everything about it.
And
yoga.
I was just going to say, talk about how you are
an exercise
your body.
Yes. So yoga has been huge. And I found a studio, and I think this is important. You find a studio where you do what you can do on your mat. You're not trying to twist your body into positions you can't do. I'm in my mid-60s. You know what I mean? And I think I'm pretty good, but still, I'm in my mid-60s.
Yes.
And, so you do what you can do, but yoga brings such regulation to your nervous system.
Yes.
So I do a lot of yoga. I do a lot of, and if I'm feeling anxious, I'll do like legs up the wall or whatever yoga pose I can think of that. I always leave yoga feeling I can go in saying, I have no energy, I can't do this, and I leave feeling fabulous. And I think it's somatic. It's a somatic exercise, right?
Oh,
So you're
absolutely.
working the emotions through your body. And the studio I go to, everybody is so informed about emotional regulation.
So important.
Yeah.
Yoga actually means yoke of body and spirit. Mind, yes.
Spirit.
Yes,
It's yes.
It's coming together. So therapy is wonderful, but you have found other ways to soothe and ease
Absolutely.
yourself.
Yeah.
There is always, I believe there's always
Breathing.
something you can do. Just
deep breathing.
Breathe into your belly.
Yeah, and you have a ton of good tips in your book. A ton that I have used as well.
Thank you. You. Just breathing into your belly and just longer exhale, just let it go. Yeah. So someone today is listening and thinking, well, it's fine for Lucille. Lucille's pretty, she's savvy and she's smart and she's brave but not me. What would you say to them?
I would say I didn't think I was any of those things. Yeah, I would say it's so worth the vulnerability.
Yeah.
The call, make the call, I would tell them, because I think that 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, life is going to be better because you made the call. It will be better, particularly if you're really in a bad space.
Right.
Make the call.
Yeah.
You
can even talk online now.
Yes.
There are lots of different choices. And there's a research study that shows that 87% of people who walk into the therapist's office feel better after their first visit.
Yeah. There's relief. It's like, oh my God, someone hears me.
Yes.
Someone hears me. Yeah. Someone's helping. Someone's, it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. So if someone's on the fence, I would love for Lucille to be your inspiration today. I would love for you to stop suffering in silence. It's really important. And Lucille, I really thank you for the message. And I would love if people want to get in touch with you because you are an inspiration. How can they do that?
Well, I am all over social media.
Yes, she is.
mean,
she's a guru.
Yeah, at Lucille Fisher, but my, at Sage and Savvy Marketing is my business and my business account, Facebook, Sage and Savvy Marketing. That's probably the easiest way. Okay. Or, I'm on LinkedIn. I am, pretty much on all the platforms.
And we'll leave her contact information in the show notes so you can get in touch. I want to thank you, Lucille, because I think what you did today is probably going to change your life or two.
That would be wonderful.
That's why.
And you're doing it too.
We're right back at you. Yeah. That is why we're here. So if you're sitting around wondering, this is the moment. Get up and go and do one thing to make your life better.